I've been talking about creating AI automations for Google Workspace for quite a while now, and I wanted to share one quick example to demonstrate what I mean by this. And this is an easy example to understand if you use Google Workspace in any capacity, especially if you're in sales and marketing. Most people have a challenge where their Google Drive structure is full of folders, and in those folders, they've got images scattered all over the place. And to illustrate that example, I downloaded a big set of images and I've got them across a bunch of different directories here. And if you were to click in one of the folders, you would just see rows and rows of images. In this case, these are all tables. Now, to show the example, most of the times when we're looking for an image, we'll browse into a folder one by one and go do something like this. And we might click on this button so we can see all of the images like that. And it's time consuming and it's also mentally taxing because it takes us a lot of time to find the image we're looking for. And then we try to remember where to find things later on. And I wanted to use AI to just index all of the images without having to move them around or try to organize them, because that's another thing I don't want to spend my time on, is trying to figure out where to store things. And in the past, I've created my own database and apps to show an image database using tools like Airtable, but now I'm able to do this all within Google Workspace and use Google native tools. That way you don't need to subscribe to another service. So let me show you what I mean by this. I'm going to take this directory structure here, and I'm going to run a quick prompt that utilizes a workflow that I developed. So this is all going to be run in my Claude Code terminal, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. So first of all, let's go grab the easy prompt right here. And it's pretty simple. And this is all natural language. So I'm basically saying, hey, run this image discovery. That's the workflow I generated. And then I'm going to give it the information about the folder to do the discovery on. And I'm going to click on one of these folders. I'll go back to the list view so it's easy. I'm going to click on nightstand view, Control C for copy. And then I'm going to go back into my Claude Code and I'm going to copy that in. And you'll notice we don't care what this shows, but I know, and I do care, that it has the image ID or the folder ID in this string. And I'm also going to do the same thing for the file that I'm using. And this file here right now, you'll see that it's got some images already, but I only got 10. And I'm going to go click on this file there again and go right back to my terminal, and I'll just hit enter. So that's all it needs to know, because the skill is doing the rest of the work. And while it's going through this, it's going to ask me a few things. Do I want to include subfolders in the scan? And I'm going to say no and return all. So that's another part of my skill, because sometimes I'll want it to return all of the subfolders within that. And I'll show you shortly what I mean by that. Now, behind the scenes, this is running locally on my machine, and it is authenticated to my Google Workspace account and is able to navigate all of the files within Google Drive. And that means everything from read them to write them and to edit them and manipulate them. And now what you're going to see is this spreadsheet, which only had 10 values before, is now populated with all of the images that were in the nightstand folder. And now I have links to each one of these. I know which folder name it's in. It's in the nightstand folder. And I've got thumbnail links to each one of these. Now, that's much more useful than I had before, yet there's still more that I can do. So I want to introduce you to another app that you can use if you are a subscriber to Google Workspace. And that app is called AppSheets. If you're a Google Workspace subscriber already, by default, you already have access to this tool, but Google doesn't make it obvious. So you need to sign up for it. And what I've done here is I've created my own little app view for what I call the image database. And this little interface here is reading everything in this file. So I'm just going to refresh it here, and it's going to go update itself with all of the images that I put in there. These are all the different type of nightstands that were in this folder here. and there are hundreds of them. Now, if I click on any one of these, I have all of the details that I wanted to get to right on hand. So I've got all the file links, I've got the web view links, I've got the folder name and the folder link. So if I wanted to click on this and open up the folder, it goes right into the same folder that we were looking at here. So now I've got an image database that is populated with everything that already exists in my Google Drive, and I don't care where these are stored. So now I'm going to run one more prompt example for you to show how easy it is if you had lots of folders to do. So let's go up one level. So I want to be able to right click or copy this one. And I'm just going to go back and run a similar prompt as before. And this time I'm going to tell it to include subfolders and all images. And I'll go back to this one and click on that, copy, go back to here. And again, this is all natural language, so it doesn't have to be exactly like this. And it already remembered that I'm updating this worksheet here, so it's going to do the same one. But if I didn't want to, I'd have to specify a new one. And the key thing here is that file ID, it knows exactly which folder that we're looking in. And because I told it, hey, scan every folder, it's going to go through this. Now I've got a bunch of other information in those skills. And part of it is if it already has the file ID for one of these images already in the sheet, it's going to ignore it. So at this point, while I was talking, it indexed every image across every one of those folders. So we've got sofa, we have bed, chairs. And I think if I go to the end of this, I've got about 500 images in here. And now if I go back to my image database and just refresh this, it's going to refresh all of the images from the same spreadsheet that I've been using right here. And now I have all of these populated. So the reason I wanted to share this with all of you is because if you're using Google Workspace, you probably have a Google Drive structure that has images scattered throughout it. And if you're in sales and marketing, you're constantly trying to find an image that you use for social media or for a proposal or for an email, things like that. And now if you have this type of app where you can just start to scroll through things and find the image that you want to use, now you have a direct access to not only the folder where it lives, but you can just go right to the file and you can open it up and then you can do whatever you want with it. This saves a ton of time. And not only that, this is a new way of starting to think about how you operate within Google Drive. Because once you do this one time, you've got this Google spreadsheet set up and indexed. You can start doing this with other types of files. You can start doing it with presentations and documents, and you can use the similar type of workflow to create a spreadsheet so you can organize and find information quickly. So this is an example of how you can use AI skills and workflows in combination with accessing your Google Workspace. And this is all made possible by the integration of some really powerful tools called Google Workspace CLI and integrating it into your workspace. And that illustrates the power of using natural language combined with a very specific workflow instruction. And now you can start really getting productive with all of the type of work that you do. And this is applicable for sales, marketing, especially things like operations, onboarding, customer care, you name it. So I will be sharing more of these as I develop them. And this is just a quick preview of some of the ones I've already built. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy it.